So hello everybody. We are live once again. Donovan is here, but I can see him. He's on a phone call. So as soon as he gives me the signal, I'll bring him up. But nevertheless, of course, we were here earlier. Now, normally on Tuesday, Donovan and we do our podcast, but I went live because he was doing something else and then he joined us later. So again, we're here live less than 2 hours later. Now, I asked everybody what they want to talk about. And I've had some people reach out to me and say they want to talk about John Amos because John Amos, was a part of Black American culture, whether some people realize it or not. So we're going to spend about an hour, or maybe not the whole hour, but sometime talking about him, his body of work and his legacy, and actually what that meant to Black fathers in America and in the Black family in general, right? But nevertheless, I'd like to say the purpose of the Demetria K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Also, like to say a big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. And not only are you just viewers, but you are family. And sometimes we do share the link. If I do share the link and your profile looks like this, please show me your face. And then if you're not comfortable, you can go back to blanking out your screen. All I ask is that if I've never seen you on here before, please show me your face before I bring you up to the big screen. Just know that no one else can see you but me, not even Donovan. And then, of course, if you're not comfortable, as I said, you can go back to that. Nevertheless, let's see here. We also need to be respectful to each other in the comment section. It's not that we disagree, but it is how we disagree. And, of course, I ask the same for us on the panel here. So let me bring myself back on here. Who do they have on here? TEW, how you doing? Says, I'm saddened. He was definitely my TV dad. Never could feel fully embrace the Cosby Show. You know, I've heard some people say that. I guess we can get into that as well. Says, Good Times was closer to my reality. Rest in power, giant. Yes, indeed. Anthony Johnson, how are you? I hope you're doing well. You say RIP. Troy, how are you? And Brother Reggie, how are you? I hope you are doing well over there in Japan. Tell the family we said hello. And Anthony said he was funny as hell in the movie Coming to America. So yes, indeed, I'm going to go over his legacy in just a minute. And then, of course, again, I want to ponder the question, was he really that influential to the lives of Black fathers and the Black family? And as also, did he impact yours? Now, I know some of y'all are probably a little too young for Good Times as it came out in the 70s. I was born in 71. I think it came out 72, 73. So, I was still a kid, but I remember seeing probably all of the reruns, as a lot of people have, right? I mean, they're everywhere. So, of course, the Evans family, if you will, in Good Times was an iconic family, but it wasn't just Good Times that John Amos was on. So I'll get into that in just a second. Lene, how are you doing? It says Rib John Amos. He also had a reoccurring role on Mary Tyler Moore's show for a little while. Yes, indeed. Hey, Jesse, you say Rip to John Amos. Arniba, what's going on with you? And Yvette, how are you doing today? Good evening from New York City. I hope you're doing well. I read you say you was born in 73. So yeah, we were babies, right? But we know all the lines, right? Bam, bam, bam. Everybody knows that. And then Jesse says, yep, my mom was born in 1971. Yes, so, a couple of years after we were born. Of course, our families watch that. Mina, how you doing? And Mars, how are you? Yes, you say, Rip, sorry to hear. Brother Ray says, I hate it when they killed James Evans. Yes, and that was a big deal as well. Emmanuel, how are you doing? All right, so for the sake of time, let's go ahead and get into it. So who else? Craig, how are you? He says Good Times ran from 74 to 79. There you go. So I was roughly 3, right? Anyway, so John Amos was an American actor best known for his roles in television and film. Particularly during the 70s and 80s, he became widely recognized for his portrayal of James Evans Sr., the strong, hardworking father on the hit sitcom Good Times from, as you said, Al, 74 to, it says 76. I guess that's when he was on there, right? Because I remember he got killed off. All right. So it also said, which focused on the lives of a Black family living in Chicago housing project, Cabrini Green, if I'm not mistaken. His character became iconic for representing a positive and authoritative Black father figure during an era when such representation were scarce on television. Now, it also says Amos also played notable roles in other television shows, including the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Let's see, The Roots, The West Wing. Also says in film, Amos has appeared in a wide variety of movies such as Coming to America, Die Hard 2, John Amos is also known for his work as a writer and producer, and his career has spanned decades, earning him respect in both television and film. His work has contributed to breaking stereotypes of African Americans in media, and it says also portraying strong, multi-dimensional characters. Now, of course, he did pass away, but he didn't pass away today, right? He passed away, it says August 21st. But it sounds like his family, via his son Kelly, if I'm not mistaken, released a statement, obviously saying they were very heartbroken or whatever. So a lot of people are like, well, why didn't we know about him passing away? You know, why didn't they say? And I just figured they were like, everybody, we don't need to announce that to y'all. He was our daddy. He was y'all TV daddy, but it was our real daddy, right? So we ain't got to tell you when he died or, you know, the moment it happened. They told people now, right? But obviously, they probably wanted to mourn to themselves and grieve with everybody who's lost somebody close to them. Of course, the grieving process is very personal and private. You don't want to have to go through that. So I don't have a problem with them doing that. Also, he was married twice. Once to Lillian Lehman, I think that was her name. She was Black. And his wife that I think he was married to now, she was white. So I see people talking about that as well. Who else came on here? Patty Brown, what's going on with you? Candy, what's going on? Mike. Yes, and and Patty said he was your dad in your head. And Mars says, I don't blame them for holding to private moments. Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, we want to have that conversation. I see a lot of people say that he was likened to, you know, a dad to them, right? Now, of course, with that James Evans character on Good Times, yeah, for those of us who remember watching Good Times and people who still do, right? James Evans' character, he had 3 children. He was married to, you know, Florida Evans. JJ, Michael, and Thelma were his children, of course, the Valona, the neighbor. So it was a whole community right there. But he was known as a very stern father, but a very loving father. Now, of course, if you know anything about the history of Good Times, originally, and I think that Esther Roll, rather, she was on Maude, right? And I think he was also on Maude. But when they started talking about Good Times, they wanted to not kill off. They didn't want to include a father or a husband for her. And she says, oh, absolutely not. I will not be portrayed as a single mother raising children. I need for my character to have a husband. Now, Norman Lear was the producer of that show and a whole host of other shows, Sanford and Son, a whole bunch of them as well. But she fought for the role of James Evans, a husband. Right now, eventually, we know that they did kill him off. And then from that point, it seemed like the show kind of went downhill. Now, often you hear about Esther Roll fighting back with the studio and different writers because they said they were very involved in the writing and certain things they wanted to do. And it wasn't just Esther Roll, but John Amos also was like, nah, there's that, and we ain't finna do that because a lot of the stuff they were trying to write was kind of vaudevillian, Chitlin Circuit. And oh, I got a new toy, y'all. Y'all want to see it? It was a lot of that going on. You know, listen. I'm going to use this in the future, okay? So there was going to be a lot of this going on, and they were like, no, we're not going to be doing none of that. So it was both of them that fought for the congruency, if you will, of a Black family. Now, of course, this is speaking with Good Times because we know he did a whole lot of other stuff. But of course, in that family, they struggled, right? It was, you know, money was always an issue. And of course, the theme song, they was, you know, surviving and all that other stuff. But with that, they said they put forth the narrative that while we don't have everything we need, we have a family and we have love, and we're going to operate within Black excellence, because having money does not mean that you are operating out of excellence. Because there was a lot of scenarios where, you know, some of the children wanted to do something illegal, gang, stealing, just a whole bunch of stuff, right? But they were like, above it all, we're going to act ethically. Again, I'm sure they had to fight the studio on a lot of that stuff. I know there were some cases where they wanted some of the children to do something that was just, you know, stereotypical. But John and Esther was like, no, we're not going to do none of that, right? So, of course, we're going to have that conversation, what that meant to y'all. I know we won't have a lot of people watching, but that's okay. You know, Donovan and I, we like to take a break every now and again from the comment section. But Donovan, what say you?
Man, it's amazing to me. I know I'm old, you're young. But I remember these actors when they were young and in their 30s, and they're just starting in their careers, and now some of these people are icons and they're passing away. And it's just amazing, because how many of you guys remember John Amos in Coming to America? Another one of the great movies. And guess who was in Coming to America? A lot of people don't think about his wife from Roots, Madge Sinclair. She played the Queen. And so all these people kind of run in the same circles and doing these great things. But getting back to Good Times, for me, my mom, my brother, and I, we used to watch Good Times together. It used to come on CBS, and it was a great show, whatever. But not only did James Evans, having that father figure was so pivotal in that show. How many of you guys remember the episode where James found his father? His father had left his family when he was a little boy. And it affected James Evans himself when he became a man. And for a lot of you guys that don't know, that like myself, I lost my father at a young age. As a man, that affects me because I feel there's something missing that I'll never get back. But I don't like people feeling sorry for me, because at least my father has a damn good excuse for why he's not here. I feel sorry for those people that have fathers that are right around the corner that don't do anything, but at least, be it whatever the situation is, you can go to your father one day if he's in prison, if he's wherever he's at, and you can at least talk to him or know that he's alive. But how many of you guys remember that episode where James, I think it was Michael, had found his father? And his father was like a merchant marine or something. He was on a boat and stuff like that. And then he came, and James utterly rejected him because he was mad at his father for leaving the family. But then he didn't know why his father left. His father left because that's one less mouth to feed. So his father had to make a hard decision to leave his family. So thus, let's go into the 70s real quick. A lot of Black men had to leave their families according to government regulation so that their families could eat and survive, and thus the rise of the welfare system and all this other, stuff that could happen. I know we always point the finger at the women, but we got to realize there's a lot of strong men out there that had to swallow their pride and let the government step in, because Black people were starving in the late 60s and 70s. And that was an episode that I think a lot of people went over a lot of people's heads at what was happening during that time in that transition where, Blacks were trying to find work, things were going on. But I think because when he did find his father, remember, James didn't smile on the show too much. He was a serious dude. But when he did smile, I remember every time I see that episode and I see him hug his father, I get a tear in my eye, because that was the first time James was actually happy to see his dad. And, as a grown man, and was like, that's how pivotal a father is to a family. So when I hear, not you guys, but a lot of these feminists and these women talking about, oh, a father is not needed, you are sorely, sorely mistaken, because I'm sitting by a woman right now. Ain't no way you can tell me her father wasn't needed in her life. So again, great episodes there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what a lot of us probably really remember. Hi, Alonzo and Gary and Lady Diana, Sugar Unique. How you doing? Tell the truth, shame the devil. I think that's what a lot of us in HD, LC, I think a lot of us watching that really resonated with James Evans's character, right? Now I've always had a dad in my life. In fact, I had two dads, so I don't know that part of a life, not having a father around. But I can understand how a lot of people will say, he was like my father, right? Because he was a disciplinarian, but he was loving. We also got to see an intact family unit. Now, bring in that of the Cosby Show, right? I hear a lot of people saying, somebody said it on here, that they couldn't really relate to the Cosby Show because the Cosby Show was a lot different than that of Good Times. Now, of course, Good Times, they were struggling to make ends meet. They have a very small apartment. JJ and Michael slept in the living room on a rollout couch and things like that. I think Florida was a bus driver, and James did a whole bunch of stuff, right? In fact, he went looking for a better job. They were going to move, and they killed him off the show. So I think a lot of people felt like they understood that better. But then here comes the Cosby Show. I think it was like 82, 83, 84. I don't know. I could be wrong. But nevertheless, it came along. And then you see a family with a doctor for a father, the husband, and the lawyer was the mom and the wife, or whatever the case is. And you had these children who were well taken care of. They lived in this fabulous, I think it was Brooklyn house. It was nice, right? So they never wanted for anything. And so it was introduced a different way of life for Black people here in America. Now, if you think about it, anything about television, we know tell lies to your vision, right? So with that of Norman Lear, who wrote a whole bunch of Black sitcoms, and a lot of these cases too, they have writers writing for Black people as if they understand Black life, right? So that's the images that were pumped into Black living rooms during that time. Images of struggle and whoa, I don't know how we's gonna make it, child. That kind of stuff. And so then you see the Cosby Show come in. It wasn't that we didn't experience that in Black America. We did, is that we didn't see that image. So once we got to see something else, then people who weren't living that life was like, wow, really? Now, of course, we know there was upwardly mobile Black people, but again, those weren't the images they wanted to show us because, for one, it goes in line. I don't care if it's Hollywood, wherever it is, the government, they never wanted Black people to believe that we are something, we could be something, that we are, are not all struggling. The idea was for everybody to be in struggle mode. And when you're in struggle mode, you are not unified. So when Bill Cosby, and a lot of people say, they feel like, if you're a conspiracy theorist, or if you just look at it for what it is, they feel like that's why Bill Cosby ended up in trouble, because he changed the narrative of what Black people were seeing from television programming. And then, of course, with that, even before him, Bill Cosby put forth, I would say, woke television in a true sense. So a lot of people draw that juxtaposition, if you will, to the Good Times and the Cosby Show. Because some people say I can't relate to the Cosby Show because that wasn't my reality. But then it also introduced a new reality to people who didn't really know that was possible. So that's, if that makes any sense. Let me see who else came on here real quick. Brother Samuel, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Okay, I think I read all those comments. Okay, let's see, real quick. Your average logical thinker, how you doing? I hope I didn't skip nobody. Alonzo, you says, I'm in Atlanta, sitting in a hotel 100 miles from home without usual comforts. We were directly hit in Augusta. Utter devastation without power for a projected 2 weeks. Rip John Amos. Yes, so that's another thing I really want to talk to just for a second. Yeah, there's a lot of people in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, some parts of Florida who were really just devastated, wiped off the map, right? So my thoughts and prayer out to you guys. I know how that is, not to that degree. We were destabilized, if you will, here in Houston in July. So it's a horrible thing. But like you said, y'all won't get power for 2 weeks. And people do not really speak about the devastation that happened due to Hurricane Helene, I think it was. So yeah, my prayer goes out to you guys, and I hope you guys get up and running back to normalcy as much as possible.
Hey, I just want to bring up this, some great classic episodes. What's his name? Hold on. I'm sorry. I hope I said that right. Lebosack says, my uncle Roscoe Lee Brown was in the Cosby Show. Your uncle Roscoe Lee Brown, he's a great actor, by the way. He was also in Good Times. Remember, he was James's army buddy.
Remember? Yeah, that's what she said, or they said, rather. I'm sorry if I know if it's a man or a woman, but that's what they said. Yeah, they were in Good Times as well.
He was in James' army buddy, and in that episode, James was tempted to make money like a lot of these prosperity preachers. You're just going to do that. He wanted to use JJ as a disabled kid to get the people going and stuff. And James took a stand and said, "Ain't no way you're going to use my son like that." fathers are so damn pivotal in a family structure. You know, you might not agree with them, and we know no parent is perfect. Of course, you can't. But even Ice Cube said that. There was a lyric that he said he had beef with Pops, and he tried to challenge Dad. Don't quote me for the lyric, but basically in the lyric, he was saying, I had beef with my Pops. I tried to, step up. Pops knocked me out. I got tossed. I lost. Pops is the boss. Dads are so pivotal, but there are so many great episodes. That was one of the ones, and one of my all-time favorite. Makes me cry until this very day. When JJ was recruited by the warlords. Remember Mad Dog? And JJ got shot defending his parents, and James wanted retribution. And then when they went to court and stuff, James saw that this father was missing. This young man was missing his father, and when he realized that this young man was in the streets because he had no father to guide him, James lost his anger and just let it go. Even though his fathers are so damn pivotal.
And speaking of your uncle, Roscoe Lee Brown, I think about Uptown Saturday Night when it was like the congressman or something like that. And when Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby, they was looking for their lottery ticket, right? They got lost as Zenobia's
brother.
Yeah, they was looking everywhere, and somehow somebody told them to go there. Paula Kelly's character, I guess she was married to him or whatever. And so, but when the receptionist came in, he was like, "Are they these constituents? Are they black? Are they white?" And they was like, "They black." So he turned the sign around. He put on his dashiki, and he had on the African music.
Because on the sign he had Nixon. He had Nixon up there. It was Nixon. Yeah. He had to turn it.
Yeah, and he had on the African music. Do, 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 do. Hey, brothers.
Man, and what a voice. Oh my gosh. When you talk about distinctive voices, this guy also, if you guys remember the movie Logan's Run, it was Roscoe Lee Brown who played the robot, the ice robot in that episode, but his voice is so distinctive, like a James Earl Jones. He had a very distinctive voice. Paul Robeson. I mean, we have so many people, you can just listen to their voices, even John Amos. You could hear John Amos, even if he voiced a cartoon, you would know who that character is.
Yeah, Gina, how you doing? It says, don't hope that on those people, that place was a sundown town. Yes, so I'm actually doing some research, but I heard a lot of those places were sundown towns. But Brother Alonzo, I'm sure if he did or did not live in a sundown town, he didn't deserve to be displaced. But yeah, I did hear that about some of those places there in North Carolina, that it was sundown towns. Of course, sundown towns is predominantly white, where they do not want your black ass there after the sun goes down. So if that is the case, it's like, we're just gonna leave it at that. Gary says, I love both Good Times and Cosby Show, two respectable black families. Yep, money was just the difference, right? Poppy says, they said that Storm jacked up a gang of those sundown towns. Yeah, that's what they say. Like I said, I'm looking into it. And Hi Tech, how you doing? Long time no see. He says, I used to love watching Good Times reruns with my older family members, along with What's Happening in my late 30s. Never watched them in their prime. Yeah, and of course, like I said, I was a baby when Good Times came out. JJ says, Roscoe Lee Brown also played a funny role in Sanford and Son. Oh yeah, well-seasoned actor has been all over, but that to me was the most memorable. It was so funny. Sister Shirley, how you doing? And Carmen, how are you? Says Roscoe Lee Brown was on Sanford and Son and Archie Bunker back in the day. Great actor. Yep. And Al says Roscoe Lee Brown played in a Disney with John Amos called The World's Greatest Athlete. Look at y'all.
Yes, starring Jan Michael Vincent. Exactly. How many of you guys remember the episode where James was having a father's pivotal? Remember, he was protecting Thelma and stuff like that. But remember when Thelma wanted to get engaged? And James was like, oh, absolutely not. And the guy had a good job and stuff, whatever the deal is. How many of you guys remember that episode Debbie Allen starred in, where JJ got married or, eloped to Chicago to get married to Debbie Allen. And, she was a drug addict and stuff. And the last thing on that episode, it was a 2-part episode. Last thing was you hear John Amos's voice talking about Junior, listen to me, because he was trying tell him, hey, this is what was going on. And classic stuff, man. Classic.
And thank you, Larry, for becoming a new member. Love and appreciate you for that. And Alonzo, he says, I will say this and leave you guys today. John Amos also played the physician to Cliff Huxtable tomorrow. Inshallah. Yeah. Inshallah. John Amos, yeah, he played in so many things, right? He's 84 years old. He passed away, and he's and another interesting thing, he was actually trying to be a professional football player, played for the Colorado State University. But it sounds like I think Cincinnati. Don't quote me. Whatever team it was, the coach is like, yeah, you just acting like a football player, but not necessarily that. So he always wanted to be a football player, but obviously he found his chops in acting. So, but obviously built like a football player as well. If you think about
very
it.
Powerful. Well, actually, he was recruited by the NFL. I can't remember which team, but he ended up playing a year or two of semi-pro ball as he pursued acting in the course of it. But then, think about Bernie Casey, former football player, Fred Williamson, former football player. You can go on and on of these former athletes that came in, O.J. Simpson, so on and so forth. That's sort of coming in there.
Vegas Sports Gaming, how you doing? Says favorite Good Times episode, Black Jesus. John Amos was so funny that episode. Black Jesus doing his thing, real good. Florida, right? Yeah, obviously that was. I actually used that picture and actually put Kamala Harris's face on it and say that, how a lot of the Democrats are acting as far as worshiping Kamala Harris. But yeah, very iconic episode, very eye-opening as well.
Who else in that iconic episode was in that episode? And it was his last acting gig before he died. Stymie Bird of the Little Rascals.
Okay.
Yeah, Stymie Bird was the friend. Remember, he's the one, hey, James, we got the money, I came through for you. That was Stymie Bird, if people remember who he was.
Yep, I know who Stymie is. Gina, he says, a lot of our ancestors are buried under those places. Yeah, they are. So, listen, like I said, I'm just trying to do my research on the sundown town stuff because I'm one of those people I've just learned from doing this for a long time, just to be careful what's being said. Because I know sometimes we say things that is not necessarily true. Listen, I'm not one to remiss in that there's a lot of sundown town, hell, everywhere. The whole United States is a sundown town. But with that, those towns that were damaged, I just want to look into it. But I did hear that, and I did look at some of the demographics of some of those towns. I'm like, yeah, they're predominantly white, like white. So I'm gonna look into it though. Les Bozak, you say, I think you mean Uncle Roscoe Lee Brown was in multiple cartoons such as Oliver and Company, Spider-Man, the animated series. He played Kingpin. Was also in a film with John Wayne called The Cowboys. Wow. He has some acting chops on him as well. Poppy says, I love what's happening because I had reruns dance down pat. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I think a lot of people did, right? Tracy, how you doing? Miss White, how are you doing? JJ says Thelma wanted to play to marry. Yes, Louis Gossip Jr. in an episode. Yep, I remember that episode. I actually saw Bernadette Stannis. That's her real name. She was paying homage to that of John Amos on her Instagram page. I saw that not too long ago. Yeah, CJ. So he said that explains the nice body as far as John Amos. Yeah, he's an athlete, right? Samuel C, how you doing? He says it was the Kansas City Chiefs. There you go. I knew it was something. Kansas City Chiefs that he played for. Absolutely. All right, let me skip down a little bit. Melvin, how are you? You said Scatman Carruthers, King Kong, Kung Fu, right?
Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah, something like that. He says Jazz, Transformers, and Harlem Globetrotters. Yep. Kermit says I like his routine when he was playing John Amos and Chicken George warned him about saying Allah. I don't really remember a whole lot of Roots because that's not the kind of upbringing that I had. With that of Roots, I had the one when my father, from a very young age, his wisdom book, if you will, and the other books that he has, cracked them open and showed us like real live images of what happened to people who had their backs whipped and lynchings. And I remember as being a kid seeing those things. So Roots wasn't something that was necessarily out of my belief system. When I say out of my belief system, is because Roots kind of sanitized the institution of slavery. Now I know for its time they couldn't really just do it to it. Obviously, it was a mini series, but yeah, I was taught the truth, if you will. If you know anything about Roots as well, Alex Haley was actually sued by a white man for plagiarism, and that white man won. Basically said that John Amos, Alex Haley stole the story from him. Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, Norris, how are you? He says John Amos was also a script writer, so talented. JJ says, I think Amos did an interview recently with Willie D. Really? Wow. Because I know that yes, Brother Samuel, he passed away August 21st, but they just announced it today. They said he had been sick for a while, if I'm not mistaken. Samuel CU says, my favorite Good Times episode is when he threatened to put hands on the bougie guy at the bank for not liking his art painting and not paying JJ. Yes, I remember that. Gary says, I like the episode about the cat lady. The family thought you're right. But was it dog food? She bought dog food to the Evans family for dinner. He says, the Lord is my German shepherd.
You're going to love my meatloaf. It's got a lot of bite.
Yeah. Craig, how you doing? Says, remember episode where James put that the belt, to the gang member who was acting up. He whooped his butt, didn't he? And Anton, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Melvin says Scatman Carruthers lady sings the blues, Shiny. Yeah, I remember him in the Shining. Scatman Carruthers. That was kind of, that movie was scary.
Yeah, remember the episode where James would always come across Sweet Daddy Williams?
Yeah. Yeah, Kermit says, Dimitri, I got one close to you in Houston, Viter. They are famous in Texas for being a sundown town. Yeah, I've actually driven by Viter, by it. I was actually driving to Jacksonville, Florida once, me and my daughter, and was like, yeah, we just gonna keep on rolling. We saw a sign where you can go off to it. It's like, no, we ain't gonna do that. But yeah, I heard that it's very, very sundowny, if you will. Craig says he played a Joint Chief on the West Wing. Yep. All right, let's skip down. Earl, it says McDowell's coming to America. Yep, you're just ripping off McDowell's.
How do you forget him in Die Hard 2? People forget that he played that role of the leading military specialist and stuff. It's awesome.
Yep. Anton, you're absolutely right. Says Dimitri, we got to give a shout out to my Chicago homeboy, Eric Monte, who created Good Times along with Cooley High. Yes, and he was ripped off by that of Norman Lear and all of them. And he stood on that forever, that was his creation, but they stole it, right? Well, they steal every damn thing, right? But yeah, so you're absolutely right about that. He should get a shout out for making James Evans, if you will, iconic, because it was his creation. So you're absolutely right. Patty, he says, I'm a watch. Let's do it again on YouTube after this live. Rip brother, yes. Very iconic as well.
And he played a hell of a gangster in that. Kansas City Mac. Yeah. When he confronted Biggie Smalls. Oh, that was classic.
Yeah, so it says it was stolen from a black woman. From what I understand, it was a white man who said that he stole it from him. I could be wrong. I do inculcate a lot of information, but from what I understand, it was a white man. And I think that's what stood out to me. I was like, really? What would a white man be doing writing that story? So I don't know. I could be wrong. Diane. He says, I joined the chat. Yes, how you doing, by the way? Once again, he says, when I heard about this passing, I said, damn. This man reminds me of my father, Rip John Amos. Absolutely. D-Day PD, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Miss Brina, hope you're doing well as well. And Brother Alonzo, thank you so much. Even in your time of need, you have donated, so I thank you so much for that. He says, Augusta, Georgia was not a sundown town by any means. As Lester Maddox, the former governor of Georgia, I was 10 years old saying, Ongawa Black Power. Okay, there you go. Check the scene in Ray. Yeah, my mom was born in Valdosta, Georgia. So I don't know anything about the sundown towns there, but I take your word for it. Yeah, my mom was Valdosta, Georgia. And when I went to visit, I was like, man, this place is left behind. I think I was like 10 years old or whatever. When I went back there, there was dirt roads and everything still. She's scrolling by you. Hashtag reading and liking. How you doing? It says Mr. John Amos will be missed. Great actor and father. Absolutely. Lynette, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. DJ PD says it was called the Black Family then, and they changed it to Good Times, right? And it was so ironic, right? It was good times, but it was like they weren't having good times because they were struggling, right? But then I guess the other message could be, well, they were family nevertheless. And I will say this, just to touch upon the cohesion of the Black family. And Donovan, you said, basically alluding to women saying that I don't need a man or whatever the case is. Of course, that's not all women that said that, but as we always talk about, we haven't gotten into these conversations in a long time, thank God. But obviously, there's more context to just women saying she doesn't need a man. Now, of course, we know within the Black community, the Black woman is considered to be the most single woman, opposed to all the other women. So there's a lot of other things involved with the Black woman just saying, I don't need my man. There's a lot more into it. But yes, most definitely the family being together is far helpful to the family. And that's one thing, if we could solve getting the Black family back together like it was back in good times, even when I was born, and even before that, then I think we'll solve a lot of issues, economics issues, more moral issues, just a whole host of issues with bringing the Black woman and man back together and continue raising a nation. And so I think a lot of people took that away from Good Times as well. But regardless of what they went through, money did not define them. Money only enhances and makes things better, but it's the morals and the standards of any family that's actually the real fiber of the family.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there was an episode of Good Times. How many people remember when John Amos found the money in the brown paper bag and he took it back to the supermarket? And everyone was calling him a dummy and stuff in the community. They tried to rob him and all kinds of stuff. And he ended up actually keeping some of the money. He didn't report the whole money, and it took his wife, Florida, super Christian, woman, that told him, hey, the right thing to do is to give all the money back, because the pastor came in. That was the episode. The pastor goes, the Lord works in mysterious ways, Florida.
Nah, I'd have kept that damn money. Okay. Just have to just forgive me later. I said, open up the link. I have valuable info. I don't know if I'm going to open up the link today because we only got about 20 more minutes left. But if you want to put it in the comment section, I would love to read it. Now we'll start opening up the link maybe tomorrow or, in the future. I just kind of wanted to just do this right now. But put it in the comment section. Brother Sammy says, wow, all these stalwarts leaving this year got me wondering, what is God sending all in the same year? Another great, yes, your mother, and RIP to your mother as well. You know what, though, Brother Samuel, I said, telling Donovan earlier, I said, we are all getting older. So obviously the people who are older than us are going to start leaving, and pretty soon, well, not pretty soon, but one day we'll start leaving as well, right? It's just the circle of life. John Amos is 84. And I mean, in the larger scheme of things, I guess it's still relatively young. But, sure, he has some health issues and things, but he acted almost really up until he died, right? But yeah, you're right. A lot of greats are starting to leave here. But, I mean, they're pretty old. Older, anyway. DJ says John Amos used to be on the Mary Tyler Moore show. Then he had a small part in the Melvin Van Peebles 1971 blaxploitation movie Sweetbacks. Badass song. Yes, I saw that a long time ago. Carmen says every town in the South, a sundown town, more or less. You already know you need to be somewhere after dark, especially or officially or not. Yeah, I just don't be hanging outside regardless. Margie says I would love to stay on, but I have a meeting on Zoom. Have a great night. If you're still on, when I'm done, I'll be back. Yes, it will. Pay attention in your Zoom meeting. Sometimes those are very boring, right? Sugar Unique, he says, Good Times was my dad's nickname. Says heavily love to dad, and John Amos. Yes. JJ says he also had a very, very small role in a movie called Vanishing Point. Yeah, so he's been around in a lot of things, right? And Edgy, how you doing? He says, back in my home country of Africa, I used to watch Kunta Kinte's series, Coming to America. He was a great actor. Absolutely. Marcella, where you been? We've been missing your meals or what you cooking every night. He says the death portal is open. I hope they don't suck me through it. I'm just saying I ain't ready to go through the death portal. Michael, how you doing? He said this old is not what this old is not passing the torch to the other. I'm sorry. The old is not passing the torch to the young. Yeah, they need to learn how to do that because my God. GP says a little late, but can't stay long. I'm going to finish all my editing for my lineup of uploads for next week in advance tonight. What's up?
Yeah, and GP, we read your last thing from the last show. If you're not, well, what was it? What was the problem last week?
Yeah, you said something about somebody was deleting your comments or something. Oh, no. It was because you were putting up your link. I'm not deleting that. I encourage you guys to put the link up to your channel so people can follow. And by the way, if you have a channel you want somebody to follow, say, hey, follow me, right? So everybody in the chat will know, hey, follow me, because the more followers you have, or I guess it's really about views at this point, then the more money you get, right? We all want to eat. And Al, okay, says ABC a few years ago were doing some terrible remakes, and John played Alderman Davis. Even then, he was sick and his voice was dim. So you talking about the live shows that they were doing? Wasn't no, I don't know if Kevin Hart was in it, but it was a bunch of people. They were doing the live action thing, which is kind of all right. But yeah, he was older then, you know.
Yeah, and if you watch that episode though, Al, do you remember he kind of forgot his lines, and he froze kind of because live theater is tough to do. I've done theater and stuff. It ain't like TV where you can redo it. You gotta keep going, and he had froze, and everybody was kind of waiting for him to do his line, and they kind of kept prepping him, and he couldn't remember his line, and they kind of stepped over it. But yeah, he was a pretty older guy even then. So
yeah, I've done some acting, believe it or not. I took some theater in college, junior college, as a matter of fact. And like a lot of people, oh, this class gonna be easy. All I got to say is to be and not to be. I got a C in that damn class. But you know what?
I took that same class, and I was known as the broke Denzel Washington. Okay.
Really?
I got an A. I got an A in the class though.
No, I got a C in that class. But you know, my teacher, you know, I think he was he was talking about walking one day, like different actors and different styles of walking. So he had different people get up there and walk. So he says, okay, let's see how you walk. And I walk. He says, oh, that's a really nice walk. And I never forgot that. I was like, okay. And so I've always paid attention to how I walk. Always, since I was like 20 something. I was like, okay, well, let me go and pay attention to my walk. Of course, it was some haters in the class, because what they did is they had everybody analyze everybody's walk. And of course, it was the sisters. What's wrong with y'all? Oh, she kind of stiff. And everybody's like, no, she not. The teacher's like, nah, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, what y'all talking about, haters? Anyway, Al says he was nominated for an Emmy in Roots, but didn't win. He made more on Roots than he did on Good Times, which is why he was written off the show. Contract disputes. Yes, I did hear that as well. Of course, you know, they was not trying to pay them actors nothing. Even as iconic as the show is now, you know, and I think they weren't even getting residuals or nothing like that from what I understand. So
yeah, back in those days, there wasn't residuals. Residuals didn't really start until like the 80s or something like that.
Right. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see. Did I read that one? Okay, yeah, I just read that one. Duh. Patty says,
I remember. Wait. I'm sorry to cut you off. I remember John Amos also played on Martin. He was Tommy's dad. Remember that episode? He was Tommy's dad. Tommy didn't got no job, and John Amos was in the military. Yeah.
Right. Patty says, I have a gang of VHS and DVDs I refuse to get rid of. I had a bunch, but I lost them in a house fire, believe it or not. GP says, I was guessing it was one of the mods that kept deleting my comments when I mentioned my channel, but I'm not sure it was. Yeah, if y'all, I hope the mods aren't doing that, but if people want to put their channel in, I don't hate. I know there's a lot of people, don't be putting that in the chat. Why not? You think you're the only person on this worldwide web of YouTube that people can watch? We want to watch everybody's stuff as much as we can. I admit, I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of YouTube videos, but when I happen to pop on and I see people on, I'll stop in and say hello, whatever the case is. But yeah, if you got a channel you want somebody to watch, just say follow me back, right? Just to let everybody know to follow you back.
And you think about this, even if you only make $1 on that episode, whatever, $1, 10,000 people, that's $10,000, right? Community money right there, black wealth.
I hear you, but not quite. Not quite to that degree. You
know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, the money
YouTube make you hustle. Okay, that's why I like to see a lot of times people pumping out content. It's because you almost have to. And like me, I'm like, I don't want to work that hard. You know, I probably should. It's just a little bit laziness on my behalf. I'm like, what the hell am I going to talk about every day? But I could entertain it if I did like a little. I'm actually wanting to do a little morning show. A live morning show real quick, come on here. But then I mean I got to do my hair, my makeup every day. Y'all mind if I come on here in my bonnet? I'm just kidding. I don't even have a bonnet.
A job. Yeah, the one thing I do not want is a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool every once in a while. But yeah, these YouTubers be hustling. You hear about Mr. Beast, who I think has one of the largest YouTube followings ever. Mr. Beast, he's everywhere, right? He does all these challenges. He's, just a great YouTuber. However, he and Amazon are now being sued because they started like a game show or something where they was having people do some really crazy stuff. So now the contestants are suing them. So it's like sometimes when you do too much, it's like there's never enough of more. I think Mr. Beast, Dan, how much does Mr. Beast make a year? I don't know. I would say probably 100 million a year with the YouTube and all of his other ventures. But sometimes you venture off into things you ain't supposed to be doing and get in trouble. So, DJ says normally they fired John because he was too outspoken. Yeah. And then eventually Esther Roll left. Al says John played on Fresh Prince as Lisa's dad, who didn't like Will, though thought he was too immature for his daughter. He would have been right? MC Fan, how you doing? Since I just checked, and Amos passed away August 21st. Yeah, so they just made the announcement today, which is their right to do it. Some people are like, why? Because it's their business, right? CJ says, I forgot he was on Martin. Brother Reddy says, just don't be putting your own right. No OFs, okay? What you do on your OF channel is your business. Just don't do it here. Listen, I'm not hating if that's how you do to make your money. Hey, what they say in the Players Club? Make the money, don't let it make you. That's the best advice I can give to you, okay? Marcelo says tonight for dinner. Okay, here we go. For dinner, you will be making a special BLT. Yesterday, the mailman came and he says, and I was cooking fish. He said it smelled good. I know it's right. You probably be having the aromas just coming from the house. So that sounds good. Sans the bacon. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna skip down a little bit. Okay, so Poppy put in a link to something, and Sugar Unique says Donovan is correct, and Al says I believe the network resented moving on from him because they reference him a lot in the episodes until it was canceled. Yeah, so it's like, why you kill him off? It's crazy. I mean, it wasn't like he was even Bookman, like right. Killing off Bookman would have been devastating, but you kill off the daddy. So that, in a sense, it just said basically, well, we gonna make her a single mama anyway. Because that's the trope that they put out there. That's why I said don't separate Hollywood from the government. They were working hand in hand and pushing that narrative of a poor single mama with these kids. Oh, however we should make it. Oh Lord, So they did it anyway.
And then, by the way, some quick trivia for those of you guys that don't know. Good if you're a good times finiciato. Fun Girl was actually Bookman's real life daughter.
Yes.
The girl who played Fun Girl. Yeah. So
yes. And let's think of how things come full circle. Everybody was laughing at Fun Girl, but now y'all got us. Well, a lot of y'all got Fun Girls. Y'all like the Fun Girl now, huh? Y'all trying to turn people into Fun Girls. I tell women all the time, don't become Fun Girl. As my daddy said, you be the main thing, not the plaything. Let them go get Fun Girl somewhere else. Treat Fun Girl like a trampoline, but not you, ma'am. No, sir. Papa says, above all that drama is the Drone RC channel my wife made for me. New content coming soon. So again, follow me in the chat if y'all want everybody to follow you. Mad Dog, it says, remember when John Amos played in the house? Yes, with LL Cool J. That sitcom that was on for a minute. Yep. Lene says you can. Yep. Say follow me. Say tell everybody to follow you. Hey Doe, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Okay, let's see. Stephen James, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Al says, when you didn't see him on Good Times, he was filming Let's Do It Again, who also had JJ and Ozzie Davis in it. Yes, JJ was like one of the main characters, right? He's the fighter, if I remember. MC Factor says they got rid of Amos because he was against Lear presenting stereotypes with JJ. I remember this, and I don't blame Amos. Good Times became very stereotypical. And that's what they wanted to do anyway. They wanted to make it, Chitlin circuity, if you will. But Esther Roll and John Amos was like, no, we're not going to do that. Bring us above board till you got enough shows like that. Why do we need to continue doing that, right? Being like a minstrel show. And so, and not only that, John Amos, he was accomplished. He was educated. Esther Roll was educated. So these weren't people who were literally coming off the chitlin circuit. They were educated. So they knew how to advocate on behalf of their people, because they also understood that the images that we portray here on the television screen is going to go out and unfortunately represent or unfortunately misrepresent Black people. So we don't want to be responsible for doing that to our people. Now, of course, the studio executives, they was like, well, come on. But if you think about it, there's something tells me, and I know for sure, and I wasn't in that room, that Esther and John both were like, well, y'all don't put those images about y'all people. So what makes you think we're going to put those images out about our people? If you ain't going to do it to y'all people, don't ask us to do it to ours. So big up to them for standing 10 toes down on even up until getting killed off the show. That y'all not, because they originally, it was JJ. They wanted to make the center of the family. And I guess it kind of was even a sitcom. And Esther Roll and John Amos both took exception to them wanting him to all the time, right? That's what they wanted JJ to be doing. They wanted JJ to be, and then some people also said that even the stuff that JJ, Jimmy Walker was doing was still this. So imagine if Esther and John weren't there, he'd be really, if they weren't there. So again, Donovan, though, hey, I will when I come to California in a couple of weeks, I will bring it. DJ says Esther Roll, Janet Dubois, and by the way, Janae rather, she was Cab Calloway's daughter. A lot of people did not know that. Whatever reason they kept it under wraps, I think is because her mama was a side piece. But he was always in her life, and she was actually one of his showgirls and background dancers and stuff. They just never told anybody that. But yeah, Janae Dubois was the daughter of Cab Calloway. And then you say Johnny Brown, yes, Bookman, and now John Amos are gone. But you think about it, they were all pretty much up there in age. In fact, what was they saying about Janae's character? I forget what they were saying. I think she was older than she actually was playing, something like that. So
yeah, she actually played. The character was supposed to be older.
Yeah, or something like that. It's something weird. But how was she when she died? Was she in her 80s?
She was in like her late 70s.
Oh, no. That's what it was. It was like, when was she born? That was the point of contention. How old was she actually? Because some say she was in her 80s. Some says she was in her 70s. So they really didn't know. But if you go back to, she was a teen when, Cab Calloway was up and running. Yeah, she was out there. If you, do the math, which I saw. Somebody said something interesting. Let's see. Brother Samuel, you said something. Let's see. Let me go back to that. Where'd it go? Hold on a second. Sometimes these comments jump up. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, there you go. It says, trivia question. What state did they kill him off in? I don't know.
It's either Mississippi or Alabama. I can't remember.
I was thinking Alabama, but
I would think Alabama. That would be my biggest guess. Alabama.
Yeah, and Brina says, I remember reading an article years ago that they fired him for making remarks about JJ's character in the interview. Yeah, they didn't like it. DJ says Sharon Brown, Johnny Brown's daughter. Okay. Al says, Donovan, why did they let Florida get married to Carl, move to Phoenix, but didn't bring him back? Well, then they just write her off the show.
Well, yeah, they wrote her off the show, and that was her excuse to be written off the show. But the reason why they didn't bring Carl back, because you remember he had cancer.
Yeah. And so he's going to a drier climate or something like that.
And then he, you're going to assume that he died while he was in Arizona. And so she's a 2-time widow.
Right. Nora, she says, Dimitri and Donovan, if you were on mainstream media, you would be the hottest show on television before them folks came for you. You know what? We
wouldn't last a week. We wouldn't last a week before they shut us down.
You know, our sitcom or our television show would be called Black Beauty and the Bald Beast. Go ahead, Donovan. Write a script. CJ, you say right, and Bernadette Stannis was first runner-up for Miss Black New York. Yes, she was. And Miss D says, good times will forever be a staple in the Black community. You better believe it. I know somebody named Al who watches Good Times probably every damn day. I'm like, dude, how often? Like, does this not get old to you? You know? Anyway, let's see here. JJ, he says they wanted a 70s step and fetch it for JJ. I mean, he kind of low-key was that, but imagine if Esther and John didn't step in and said, nah, we now. Imagine how much he might have literally been tap dancing.
Yeah, and I didn't think she signed on, or John Amos signed on, that they were going to be involved in a comedy sitcom. I mean, it was supposed to really, and it did address, serious issues, but when the comedy started taking over more so than the situation itself, I think that's where they had the problem, because JJ was a breakout character, because the first, outside of John Amos and Florida, the first person they hired was Ralph Carter, who played Michael, and he was already a Broadway star. So he was the first one that they brought, and notice that they let Michael be the militant one, the kind of intelligent one, and JJ was a 17, 16-year-old, basically illiterate kid, guy that has a painting art. He's very good at art, but he wasn't good in school, couldn't read, could barely write, and that's a stereotype was something that Flora did not want. It's like, well, how could he have a father and a mother, and yet he's barely literate?
Come on with it. First, Bruce, how you doing? Says John Amos, Mayor, descendants know that he meant the universe to the younger generation, especially us that had part-time fathers. Rest in power, John Amos. Yeah, a lot of people have said that he was the closest thing that they had to a father. But with that, wouldn't it be nice if we had fathers like, and I know we still do, but I'm saying really, fathers that weren't afraid to be fathers, and there was times on the show where James had to step to Florida's like basically button your mouth, sit down. I'm doing what men do, and she did, and sometimes she was kind of turned on by that,
And remember, every time James had an issue with the kids, he reached for that belt.
A little pop, tap, tap. Don't hurt every once in a while, I call it the tighten up.
Remember that episode where Michael did something and James was going to whip him, and then Michael had that really, because James wasn't an illiterate, wasn't very educated. He went to 8th grade or something like that, 6th grade, dropped out in the 6th grade, and Michael had to explain to him about the what was that test, the intelligence test, and all this other stuff, and he really listened to his son. He was like, hey, this is why I'm doing this, and he explained it to him, and it kind of worked out. And I think that's another reason why a lot of people look to him as a father figure, because he was even-handed. But remember this one, the Big Mac. If James was going to give it to you, he was going to give you the Big Mac.
My sister calls that the dead brown cow. The leather belt. She used to tell the kids all that. You want the dead brown cow? To this day, my nephew, it was 30, he'll be 32, 33. Even he knows what the dead brown cow is. I says I would love to see some good times bloopers. I'd imagine that was a lot of hijinks already, right? Miss D says John Amos' role as James meant so much to fatherless Black kids during that time. Said a lot about his presence on television. Yeah, and y'all got to remember they didn't even want him on there, but Esther Rowe was like, "Nah, Florida need a man. We tired of seeing our women on here."
That was her television husband. She didn't want to act with anybody else but him.
Yep, we tired of seeing Black women with no husbands.
Right, and she was what, 11 years older than him?
That's what it was. Yeah, she was a lot older. Yeah, but you know, like us women, we always look a lot. We could be older than y'all, but look a lot younger. Brother Samuel says, wanted a Black man that came up with the show. Yeah, it was a Black man rather came up with the show. And Norman Lear basically stole it. Yeah, same old, right? MC Fact says looking for Cab Calloway's and can't find Jeanette Dubois' daughter because it was not known. But I think it was TMZ or somebody. They connected the dots, and if you look, there's a picture of her standing on top of the piano. So they obviously knew they were related, but nobody else did because I believe he was married, and she was produced outside of his marriage. But they have, connected the dots to where they discovered that she is, or she was rather, Cab Calloway's daughter. So,
so Cab Calloway is the grandfather of Janet Jackson.
Pretty much. Well, he's the adopted grandfather.
Right.
Janet, yeah. Because her mama was, kind of nifty with the iron. Al says the cast was on Breakfast Club who explained the bad of Good Times. Yes, that was a great interview. Where and I love their relationship, even with JJ or Jimmy Walker. They were just all so kind to each other, and he was doing most of the talking, and Bernadette and Ralph were just standing there sitting. They were just very patient listening, and they said he does this a lot, and they're like, "Oh, we're used to it. It's good though, because obviously they grew up around each other from kids, right? They've known each other their whole lives, and so they were very patient with it. So that's actually a really good interview, very touching too. All right, so let's see, Donovan. I know we about to get out of here. Brother Reggie says the kitchen and the bedroom, Florida, the kitchen and the bedroom. James Evans.
But before we get out of here, there was a very, very important episode that has meaning today in the politics of the world. You guys remember when Florida wanted that Jimmy Ellis guy, the young up and coming politician, all the girls supported him. And then Alderman Davis, James and Jim, the sex is separated. And it's kind of what's happening again today. I mean, that show was very pivotal. But in that episode, the men prevailed because we're always right when it comes to politics. But Florida said, hey, we're going to give it another try and keep on going and doing all that. But that was a very pivotal episode in how you vote versus identity politics versus the issues that have to be addressed. Because Alderman Davis, what was he doing? Symbolism. And James, what was he doing? Yeah, well, yeah, he was doing symbolism and raccooning. Because remember when they started doing the dozens? Get him, Jimmy. Get him, Jimmy. And Jimmy didn't know how to do the dozens. And, people went for the symbolism and stuff like that. And that's the problem we're having to this very day, where we're still falling for the symbolism versus policy. So.
Yeah. And Stevie says, do you ever think we'll ever have ever be any more highly impacted full Black shows on TV again? I don't think so. I would love... Yeah, this raccoon gonna be here for a long time. I can't wait to use it on the first one that come up in the comment section. My daughter actually bought it for me. I was like, I got to have it. I don't know. Will it be? I don't think that's what. I don't think they want Black people to be in that space. They never have, right? You think about somebody like Tyler Perry. He can make that stuff, but he doesn't. Even I would say, what's so weird? I think the closest thing that he's made for black, okay, let me rephrase what I'm saying, that was helpful to small degrees to black family was Medea. Even though he was running around with a dress, he had some really good life lessons, even though the script was about some nonsense, right? But even Tyler Perry, he can do that stuff, and he doesn't. He got the black man who is the most horrible person in the world. He's stealing, cheating, scamming, killing, you know, and the black women, you know, they always the victims, and some of them ain't no good, and the kid. So yeah, I don't think you'll see that. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I could be wrong. Do they have stuff like that now? I don't know. You know, 50 Cent, he got, what is the Power or whatever it is? Where I ain't gonna lie, I watch BMF. It's one of my favorite shows. And it talks about a black family, but the sons was dope dealers. It's like a true story, right? So I don't know if we'll ever see that again, but you can see it in real life in your own family.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of hard in today's effort because we are so watered down and we're so mixed up, you know, more so than what it was in the 70s and the 60s. Now, interracial dating and marriages is so common now that we don't want to offend anybody, you know, or it's just amazing. And I say this to all my friends that are Asian. I see this all the time in my Asian friends. They will go to all the white stuff, which is great. You want to do that to support your husband or your spouse. But then when it comes to the children learning about their Asian heritage, the kids almost know nothing about that. And it gets watered down and it gets lost in the sauce. It's very, very sad.
Yeah. High Tech, he says, you never mentioned the abuse episode with Penny. I think Donovan just did not too long ago. I mean, of course, we know Chip Fields played her mom, Kim Fields' mom. I played Penny's mom, and she was highly abusive.
Oh my God, that was Chip Fields acted her ass off in that episode. No, those 2 episodes.
But if you think about
4 episodes. No, it came out.
It was a few, but if you think about it, with that, it was like, gosh, so traumatizing. An iron, like, well, we all traumatized by the damn iron. Every time I iron my clothes, which is rare, every time I iron my clothes, I think about Penny. And I mean, we've all been burnt by an iron. I tell y'all a horrible story. My daughter, when she was 1 year old, or maybe a little younger, because she was learning to walk, she was with her dad. We weren't together. And her dad ironed, right? So when she went over there, he realized he left the iron on. Now, he had the iron on for a day or so because he lives by himself, and she went over there, whatever. My daughter came behind him and pulled the iron down. After he unplugged it, she saw him do it, I guess, pulled the iron down, burnt the side of her face, landed on her hand, right? And she was in shock, obviously. So my daughter's father, he didn't have a car at the time, but the hospital was like a block or so away from his apartment. He ran all the way down to the hospital, holding her, kicked the doors in. Now, I'm at work. Kicked the doors in and said, my daughter's been burned. So they call me and I'm, running to the hospital, and I get there. Yeah, she's burned pretty bad. And luckily she's so young that she outgrew it. I don't even think you can see it anymore. She outgrew it in her hand, her arm, and she's burnt really bad. And so we're waiting, like they had taken care of her and stuff, waiting. And as soon as it crossed my mind, CPS came in the door. And I was like, well, what are y'all doing here? They were under the impression that my daughter's father did that to her. And so he laughed like, what? I didn't do that to my daughter, blah, blah, blah. The only reason why they didn't take my daughter that day is because we didn't live together. We weren't together. And they said, but had you been there and that happened to her, we would have taken her from you. And I was like, oh, y'all would have been taking a corpse. And it wouldn't have been mine or hers. Y'all wouldn't have been taking my damn daughter. But so the iron story is traumatizing for a lot of people. No, that was a horrible story, but I just thought about that. Anyway.
But Chip Fields, to me, that was I've seen her in a lot of different things. But again, CJ said that one of the most underrated actresses to me of her era, just underrated. That woman played that role. It was so believable. What do you know about me? Who are you people? I mean, she was just,
NC Fact says the best time for blacks were the black movies of the 70s. Lots of black men and heroic roles. You're talking about the black exploitation era. I love black exploitation. I don't care. Y'all can judge me if you want to. I love black exploitation. To me, they're funny.
Sheba, baby.
Right. Foster Friday, Coffee Brown, and even that of in the 90s, Quentin Tarantino made Foxy Brown in homage to Pam Grier. He made that movie exclusively for her.
Pam Dobson, Cleopatra Jones. Man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Al says Carl Winslow was a good dad. Joey, how you doing? Says we're on the brink of World War III. Rip, Mr. Amos. Yes. Listen, I tell everybody all the time, pay attention. Because I was told that. Pay attention. Look at what's going on. Entertainment is cool, but I wake up every morning and I read the news to see what's going on. So we need to stay abreast. If you're not following what's going on in the Middle East, I'll just tell you this much. If you got draftable kids, when I say kids, I mean men and women. You got draftable kids because the United States are sending troops to the Middle East as we speak. How many people even know that?
Well, how many people know that Iran just sent rockets into Israel? That happened earlier today.
Right. So what you got is Iran, you got Yemen. Who else you got?
Lebanon.
Hezbollah. Yeah. So Palestine. So yeah, if you ain't paying attention, now they're gonna try to send your babies over there to go fight a war that don't really have nothing to do with us, even though America's funding the war. But they ain't got nothing to do with your babies, but they gonna send them over there to fight.
And guess what, ladies? Guess what? Also, if you've been paying attention to the news today, China and Taiwan are starting to rumble and stuff. They're sending troops over there as well. But guess what? 1 billion Chinese, and we have 350 million Americans. Guess what, ladies? Guess what, ladies? Since y'all are strong and independent, we're going to see how strong and independent y'all are.
Right. We're going to be Rosie the Riveter like they was back in the World War I and II. Rosie the Riveter. Okay, what you need?
Oh, no, we sending you and Big Shirley, all of them, to the front line.
No, sir.
We want y'all to be equal. We want y'all to, this is what equality gets you.
Hey, you send them women talking about I'm independent, I don't need no man. I never said that, boy. I need a man all day, every day, and I will not be picking up arms for this. Well, I'm almost too old. I'm not too old yet.
Oh, and before we do this, I want to give a big shout out to Lizzo, because instead of crying and acting up on the internet, she went to the gym and did something about her situation, and she looks good. I will give it to her. She put in the work.
Don't you get me started on Lizzo. Don't you get me started on Lizzo.
What are you jealous? Because she's looking good. Have you seen
I'm
the
not
way she looks?
but I'm saying, because I've seen it. I'm not saying this is your narrative, I don't think. I've seen a lot of dudes talk about, oh, now Lizzo, as if y'all have something to do with her losing weight. Or we chided her to the point of going to the gym. And now look at her. See, I told y'all Lizzo wouldn't mess with none of y'all. A lot of y'all when she was a big girl, and she wouldn't mess with y'all now. But Lizzo did that for her, not because of somebody was bullying her on the internet. But yes, go Lizzo, go. She looks amazing. Yes. Hey, Lisa Tui says, hi, Demetri. I've been missing your lives because I'm busy moving. Yes, R.I.P. John Amos. And don't work too hard. I hate moving. I'd rather just leave everything in the house and just start over. That's how much I hate moving. Now, your average logical thinker says, yeah, if an actor can actually make me hate them, they are a great actor. Right. There's a Mr. I don't think anybody could look at Danny Glover and not see Mr.
Well, remember Samuel Jackson in Jungle Fever? Man, he killed that part. He killed it.
Yes, he did. Sky Dancer, how you doing? All right, so let's see. Brother said, how you doing? Says, I wish the U.S. would stay out of foreign affairs. Me too. Donovan will be
going to happen. Staying out of foreign affairs because war is big money. We're selling ammunition to both sides. I mean, it's big money. That's how it is. And then the inflation, one of the part of the problems why we're having high inflation is because we're printing up unlimited money and sending it to Ukraine and all these other countries.
and Taiwan now. So Taiwan is getting some money from the United States as well. So it's like, I saw somebody made a good point, and we about to get out of here. Donovan, this blew me away. Okay. In the South, Hurricane Helene went and wreaked havoc, right? There's still people who don't have no lights, who don't have no houses. They're like needing aid, right? And of course, FEMA, they're going to get to it. Why you can't call on the other nations around the world to help? There's an issue here. You can't call on them and ask for money and resources and stuff. But yet, but the United States is sending that money everywhere else. And the people who got their house blown away by a hurricane, they got to get a.
Did you see that meme I put on your page? When other countries need money, there's stacks of money. But when Americans need help, nothing. Zero.
Yeah. Brother Norris says, will Donovan be called up? I think he's done 16 tours of duty is enough.
Yeah, put it like this. If they have to call me up, it's over. It's a wrap. I mean, nuclear war is imminent. I mean, if they're calling me back, it's done.
Right. And Diane, you got a good point. It says send the military age illegals to fight as our replacement. That might just be the plan.
I wish we could do that, but unfortunately, according to the Geneva Conventions, you can't send people to fight a war that aren't citizens of your country. That's the way it is. So guess what? Not only are you guys continually to fund them while your kids go fight to defend their freedom. So it's going to be.
CJ says they always preach body positivity, then lose weight. Monique 2.0, good for her though. Health is always a priority. Yeah, and I think too with body positivity and looking at other people, I know a lot of people are upset that Lizzo's losing weight, but it's like Lizzo's always said, don't follow as I'm doing. Body positivity should be if you're 120 pounds, 320 pounds. It's really a personal choice, and I'm not saying this about you, CJ, but I feel sad that people looked at Lizzo as the beacon of I can be a big girl. They shouldn't have, eventually we all come to our own awakening, right? Maybe she realized, okay, it's not cool. Because if you know anything about Lizzo, she was a smaller person before. She, in the last, I would say, I don't know, few years or so, gained all of that weight. So she was actually smaller than she is now. But we should never look to somebody else to tell us how we should feel and who we should be. And again, I'm not saying you're saying that, but yeah, I see a lot of people are mad at her because she's losing weight, which I think is weird. Tracy says Monique and Precious couldn't watch her on anything else for years. Yeah, that movie actually made me want to throw up. Mad Dog says Wesley Snipes, Nino Brown. Yeah, that was a horrible one too. In Suburbia, how you doing? Samuel L. Jackson is Gator. He said he's gonna bust a old lady in the head of right. Mama didn't give him the money, but you don't want me to bust old lady in the head, do you? Raven, how you doing? Says I wish our people would stay out of these folks' wars. We have to fight here daily. Listen, if they enacted the draft, you ain't gonna have a choice. You can be a conscious objector like my father was, Muhammad Ali. He was, and he paid his career suffered greatly because of it.
But now they've defined what a conscientious objector is. So you're really going to have to come with the facts. So while you're waiting to figure that out, you're sitting in jail or whatever you're doing. Yeah. You have to be, and you just can't wake up one day and say, I'm a conscientious objector. You have to show that you've always been in that. It's like being Amish, basically. An Amish person, there's no dispute in how they stand because of how they live and all that other stuff. You just can't be, I'm in the streets, I got guns, I'm on a boat and I'm on a yacht. Talk about I'm a conscientious objector. It's not gonna work.
Oh, you got to know how to rook the system. Because trust me, I'm giving out the game. So you said, Tracy, your power went out briefly. Where are you at? CJ says Gen Z is built differently though. Y'all, yeah, of course. They think that their image should be attached to somebody else's image. That's why you got a lot of these women, and I know we about to get out of here. Lord knows I ain't trying to go down that road. Lord, so I got a lot of women doing BBLs and stuff because she went and bought a big booty. I'm gonna get a big booty too. You got a big booty. I got a big booty. We all gonna have a big booty too. And if you see some of these booties on some of these women and dudes too, it's like, why would you pay for that? Oh, you did it because homegirl did it. And you thought her booty was real, and it come to find out it ain't real. You know, so people have to learn to love what they have and work with that. You know, you can have do squats or whatever, but having a big giant booty ain't all that is cracked up to be. And I'm not saying that I have one, okay? But it ain't all that is cracked up to be. You know, there's more to life than having a big ass. Sure. It could be a ball of collar. Yes, it could do all of that. But as I always say, what's behind the booty? Fellas, that's for you. What's behind that big old booty? Usually it's nothing but silicone or whatever they put in booties nowadays. You know what I mean? She's just a big giant butt. You might as well just say, hey, can you detach your booty and just leave it with me? Because the rest of you ain't worth a damn. And y'all try to spend all your money on this big old booty. I'm envisioning just a booty, right? You got a booty in the passenger seat. The rest of the woman, I don't know where she is. She's invisible. It's a booty in the passenger seat. You're taking a booty out to dinner, the booty to the bed, and then you're like, oh, I'm tired of your booty. And then you go looking for a woman who ain't got no booty, because a lot of times that woman with no booty got a little bit more up here, right? She got bigger brains than she does booty. I'm just trying to help you out.
Well, then how do you explain your intelligence?
I got big brains.
With that wagon that you're dragging, there ain't no brains that big.
Let me tell y'all something, okay? It's all right. It ain't nothing like we be like, damn. Okay? I got to do squats because I don't want a serendipity, But that's why I said people who got a little bit of booty, why would you want some more? I like, when you have a big giant butt, it looks weird in some clothes. You can't wear everything. It just don't look right. You want to look streamlined, as the older women used to say. Now I know, Glodadine and them, some of them had some church lady booties and stuff, but a lot of them, they had an all right butt. When I was coming up, the goal was to have a nice butt, right? If you had a big butt, then more power. But the goal was to have a nice butt. A firm, nice butt that was, why are we talking about booties? Well, anyway, a nice butt that was up there, right? It was like a horse, right? Because you think about it, back in the day, white women, when they wore those corsets and the little things with the fake, who you think they were trying to look like? They was running around trying to look like sisters with the big old behind or whatever the case is. So I'm just saying, love what God gave you. And ladies, I know there's a lot of men out there telling me I want a woman with a big butt. Tell them to go buy a blow-up doll. Tell him to go to the swap meet and get some butt pads, and he can go to bed with that at night. But do not ruin your body for these men. That's why I want a big booty.
Yeah, but see, your average logical thinker hit it right on the head. She says women are in competition with each other. Nothing new. You guys aren't doing that for us. You're doing it because you guys are in competition with each other.
I mean, that's
men will tell you, we don't like the weave. We don't like this. We like natural. We like natural.
Listen, Raven, see, now you're lying. He says you can't have an ironing board back there either. See, so what?
Yeah, that's why I don't date Asian women.
There's some Asian women that got a little booty, and there's a lot.
Yeah, nowadays, but in general, no, they don't. No, they don't.
There's a lot of sisters that got no booties, and Thunder says big booties are nice, but if she can cook and has a great personality and a good heart, I'm all in. You know what I'm saying? Can that booty make you up something to eat? Can it manage money? What can the booty do? We know what the booty can do, but what can the booty do for you? You know what I mean? That's what you should ask. Great booty, what can you do for me? Because literally people are purchasing asses every day. I was at the DR once, and on the way home, I saw a whole bunch of women in wheelchairs. They was in pain, but they just got a brand new ass that they was going to go back to the States and finesse with. They was finna finesse with the new ass. I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't even go out the house much. I'm just rambling, really. Brother Sam says, in the past, I read a study that women with big booties had healthy hearts. That might be the case. I have an athlete's heartbeat. Believe it or not, every time I go to the doctor, they're like, damn, is she alive? I'm like, oh yeah, I got a naturally lower heartbeat. Whatever. My resting heart rate is like 45 on average. So Tracy says, I've never been in competition with any woman enough. Donovan, you have a big issue with including all.
Well, see, I just answered her too. No, that's not true. We are smart enough on this channel to know that when somebody says everybody or all, that doesn't actually mean everybody and all. The majority of people, yes, but not everybody has a big booty, not everybody has a small booty, whatever. We're all intelligent, know who we're talking to. There's an old saying, if it doesn't apply, you let it on by, right? It doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But you're getting the gist of what we're saying. If there is a phenomena within the Black community of these women risking their lives to have big booties. That's just a fact. And a lot of women are in competition with each other because, again, you might not agree with me, but again, most men, we will tell you straight out, we want natural. I have yet ever, to me, a BBL, if you're asking me, is for the low caliber dude. That's the guys that are in the street that like that go to the clubs and stuff like that. The guys that have the real money that are doing that. I have never seen even an entertainer walk the red carpet with a BBL. I've never seen that. I've never seen it.
Well, I have.
Yeah, or something like that. I'm talking about a Black woman. A Black woman.
But you know, BBL is a Brazilian butt lift. So the premise of that was to just give you a nice, cute butt. But I don't know how I jumped off the rails with all this stuff we see now. I mean, I'm like, I'll be everywhere you can think of. I'm like, and you asked them for that? And they put that on your back? You look like, as Walter says, a bug's life. Ants,
right?
You know,
yeah, a bumblebee body. No, but you know, but again, you know, she brings up a good point, and I'm sorry if I'm coming off that way, but no, we're too intelligent on this channel to think we're not an everybody channel. You know, we know what we're talking about.
Dr. E. Gracie says, I'll admit the way you say booty sounds soothing every time you say it. I can feel my blood pressure and anxiety decrease. Thank you. You know what? Y'all want me to do some ASMR on my channel? Booty. She has an ample booty. Fellas, always ask, what's behind the booty? Y'all like that? I think I could do that. Eddie, we about to get out of here for real. He says, and what time is the debate? The vice presidents are supposed to be debating tonight. Most people don't give a damn. Anyway, Eddie says, I just got into the chat room. Good times was just too ghetto when John Amos' character got a high paying, and somebody saying Alaska, some people saying Mississippi. Norman Lear had the father removed or killed off, and John Amos was really fired. Right. You know what I mean? I totally agree with you. Nora says, we want natural everything. I mean, I listen, and I want y'all to have that, okay? I want that for y'all. However, a lot of y'all wouldn't even know a fake booty if it was in your face, which probably is what you like. You know, I was the thing that says you have 1 million subs if you do that. You think booty,
yeah,
booty, yeah.
And you know,
everywhere.
And you know, and I just want you guys to think: these young people that are getting these BBLs, gravity is undefeated. What health issues are going to compel these people, if they make it, to be older people? It's like right now that they're saying a lot of hepatitis C incidences are happening to these people who have tattoos. They're getting the backyard tattoos or whatever. I'm not against tattoos, but I'm saying they're having a lot of issues. These people that are sleeved up, where it's poisoning their livers or something. They can't filter it or something's going on, but they're having a lot of problems with that. So
yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, like you said, tattoos need to here or there. I got 3 of them. You won't see them unless I show them to you. But yeah, Tracy says these weaves back in the day were for style. Today is once again our men are chasing after straight hair, and once again those don't look like us. Yeah, I don't even know what they wearing nowadays. As I said, the best way I could describe it is somebody else said that it wasn't my original idea, but I like the concept. It looks like some of these women are just before they leave in the house, just throwing a wig up in the air and just letting it land on their head and just going out the house. I'm like, ma'am, whatever reason you got to wear the wig, I'm not mad at you. But did you have to wear it like that? I can see it's a wig. You might as well have a tag on it. You know, that like whose part goes down here? The hairline, it looked like Planet of the Apes. Whose hairline goes all the way down there? I don't know.
I am not lying. I was watching a thing on YouTube, and the girl, she was a very attractive young girl. She was 19. They were interviewing her, and she had a big old split in the middle of her hair that was orange, and she was a black girl. And I'm like, that doesn't even look like your scalp. They've given up. They've given up trying to fool us. They've given up.
Y'all, listen, they know y'all don't care. Y'all know some good ass under that wig. So they don't care. Terry, how you doing? Says things I don't like, fake hips and fake lips. What about and fake fingertips? You know, I heard that too. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't bash nobody. Do you? Do you?
I'm just saying, if the sisterhood is, see, that's why I don't believe the sisterhood is real. Because if it was real, these women wouldn't be coming outside looking like that. Nobody's saying anything to them.
And listen, that they wig business ain't my business. If you want to come out there looking like that, I feel like that's a firm decision. You know what you put on your head. You know what I'm saying? What do you say to that person, ma'am? Your wig is crooked, ma'am. Ain't no damn well no hairline goes all the way down to your nose. What? I'm not trying to get beat up in the streets. CJ says the ones with the baby hairs. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna be quiet because I know somebody gonna.
What I don't understand, and I know we got to get out of here, but I just want to know the forehead eyelashes. I will never understand that style, that having the eyelashes on your forehead, your hair. What do you call that? Hair lashes or whatever. The
baby hair.
Whatever it looks like. It looks like eyelashes on the forehead.
Oh, you mean the false lashes? The falsies?
Well,
you talking about the baby hair? Baby hair.
It looks totally ridiculous. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god.
One day I'm gonna come on here with it's gonna be it's gonna just be all the way across my forehead. Let me stop. Listen, because I'll get an email. Yeah, that way you was talking about people baby hairs. It's not actually your baby hair, ma'am. It's the beauty supply. Let me shut up. Thunder says, when you say it in my mind, the booty is not, yes, is a nice, soft, caramel colored and an almond colored with just a few tiger stripes, little stretch marks, because the weight of her booty could not keep up with the growth spurt. I think I might do it. I ain't going to do it under my name, though. I'm going to do it under a different name. Tracy says, Demetra, are you talking about hair helmets? I will neither confirm or deny. Y'all not going to get me in trouble. My inbox is going to be interesting. High Tech says, guys don't marry or take those women seriously with weeds and BBLs. They just sleep and have fun with them. Black men are choosing fit, feminine, and good attitudes, not weeds and BBLs. I beg to differ, god dang it. I see brothers all the time with those big old diaper booties. And it's like, I don't know. I'm going to be quiet. Y'all lying, though. Those women be rolling out with the ballers, okay? Baller caller. They go to the DR and say, I want the baller caller special. Put all you can handle back there. I've seen it. Mr. Vision said facts. All right, for real. We're going to get out of here because we're about to get indignant. For real. Red House, how you doing? Lisa says people don't say nothing about all that fakeness because they want to cuss you. Yeah. How I look saying, sister, that wig look plastic. What? I'm not trying to be rolling around in Walmart with nobody. I went in there for some cotton balls or something. Not that. Raven talking about they look like windshield wipers. Y'all wild. Woo! I better not see y'all out there in public with none of these women y'all talking bad about. Animal Advocate, how you doing? Says, I had no idea about tattoos and that issue. Wow, a lot of people are getting the most. And, now they're actually giving people anesthesia from some of those big old giant tattoos that would just be too painful. You probably go in shock if you're awake. There people are paying for anesthesiology to have those mirrors done, if you will. So yeah, it's a lot going on. Thunder says now hips that were if she has hips that looks like you're looking at a motorcycle with the bags on both sides. That's where the money is, and I don't like those either. CJ, you know what I'm talking about with the tiger stripes. We got the tiger stripes. You know, I'm just saying. I hope my dad don't see this. I really don't. I hope my dad is very busy today because he'd be like, now why are you talking like that? Anyway, we're about to get out of here before we get in trouble. I don't know what time the debate comes on. I'm going to watch it and see if it's going to be entertaining. With that, a JD Vance.
Yeah, I believe the debate is at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So 8 o'clock my time, 6
California time.
Yeah, so I'm going to watch it. JD Vance and Tim Walz. I'm sure to be entertaining. I don't know. Diane says it's called.
Well, I was born with my sister, and my mother raised us. If I hear that from Walls, I'm gonna lose it.
Well, you're gonna hear it, yeah. The tiger stripes. Don't sleep on the tiger stripes. Don't sleep. I was gonna say something else, but I ain't because I didn't went too far. Peace to you, Pop. Joey says you're a boob and leg old guy. See, everybody don't want no big ass. And a mad dog. Thank you so much. Pop says too dumb. You talking about the vice presidents? We're gonna find out. But anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. We'll be back here tomorrow. Now we got to get back to business tomorrow, y'all. We got to get back to business, politics as usual. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your evening, and always ask, what's behind the booty? Good night.